This is an Evergreen Media Network studio production. Treasure Coast Connector. Connecting residents and businesses of the Treasure Coast. And here's your host, Ellen Contreras.
Hi, welcome to Treasure Coast Connector. I'm your host, Ellen Contreras. Treasure Coast Connector is the talk show and online resource for businesses that I am messing up my intro. First time I've done that this year. I did it last year, but Treasure Coast Connector, we put a spotlight on interesting local businesses and resources, then connect them to you, the consumers in the community. Everyone has an interesting backstory of why they do what they do. And when we learn about what's happening in our own backyard and support local businesses, it strengthens our local economy. For details on the show and links to discounts, promos, past interviews, visit www.tcconnector.com. So now the Treasure Coast, we have lots of small mom and pop businesses that fuel the economy. And, a lot of these business owners are so busy serving their clients that they put critical tasks on the back burner. Joining me in the studio today is Grisell Cano, and she is the owner of Busy G Bookkeeping Solutions, and she helps her clients keep their books in order. It helps them to focus, to create better business decisions, and it also increases their profitability. So she's here to talk all about that, share some great information, as well as her services. So welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so what did you think about that little brain snafu that I just had? Sorry about that.
I probably will have one of my own. So.
Oh my goodness. I guess because you say the same thing over and over again, it's bound to just get messed up. All right, so now business owners. They are super, super busy. We have a lot to talk about how you help them not only get in order, but help them grow as well. There's a lot more that you have to offer than just bookkeeping. Before we talk about that, why did you want to become a bookkeeper and then open your very own business?
So my background is in bookkeeping I worked for a local government agency. That was my 9-to-5 since I was 19. And I was going to college full-time as well. So I got my business degree in international business and in Spanish as well. So I did all the accounting stuff. And my full-time job was as a bookkeeper for a local agency. And so in that realm, I learned Excel and I learned how to actually do record keeping. And so it wasn't driven by QuickBooks, but it was still bookkeeping and it was detail oriented. And I learned how to take a lot of information and condense it down to something that's digestible and understandable. And so I've always had this entrepreneurial spirit and business mind. And I always knew that I'd own my own business. I just always thought it had to center around a product. So I was always on the lookout for like a problem solver. Then at some point, I was actually on maternity leave with my second, and I was looking for something more part-time in a different industry, still bookkeeping, but a different industry, just to, grow and.
Sure, yeah.
And the algorithms listen, and I was ending up getting Facebook ads, targeted Facebook ads for starting your own bookkeeping business. And after I looked into it, I realized, wow, not only can I actually do this, because I have the accounting background, it's not just learning the software. I already know that part of it. And it was also I understood why it was so important.
Right, yeah.
It's a vital, necessary part to any business.
Oh, yeah.
It's just foundational. And so purchased the course. About a month later, I had my first client.
Aww.
And, I ended up leaving the 9-to-5 to work for QuickBooks, which was great. It was like on the job paid training. And eventually I left that when my practice grew.
Well, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. So now, of course, like I said in the intro, the Treasure Coast is, our economy is fueled by the mom and pops, and they're very, very busy. And a lot of the small business owners, they don't have their own bookkeeper on staff. And some of them, they do it themselves. They manage to pay their bills on time. Yay, that's great, right? But they might be missing some things or maybe not doing some things correctly that could impact their business. And you and I spoke a little bit about that last week. So I'd love for you to just share what people should be mindful of about that.
Sure. So, as you mentioned before, outsourcing this type of task allows the business owner to spend time doing what they love or whatever they want, really. And not only that, but it gives them the peace of mind of knowing that a professional is taking care of it. And that allows for complete and accurate reports. A lot of people who come to me have a spouse or a neighbor or a friend who's helping them out. And while that's a great start, it might not be capturing the whole picture. And from what I find, it's like the bare minimum. They're not, those other people typically are not being paid. They're doing a favor. Yeah. Then there's people who don't do it at all and kind of ignore it and just wait, which also is not advisable. The best thing to do is either outsource it to a professional, or if you're going to DIY, have some kind of guidance. So that you know what you're doing before you do it, because a lot of times it's harder to fix mistakes than it is to do it the right way from the beginning. And there's, hiring a professional as well. Like, I know what I'm looking for. I know when there's a problem. I know how to fix the problem. That's where that accounting comes in. Anybody who knows QuickBooks might be able to fix the QuickBooks side of things, but if the number's not correct, that's accounting. Yeah. So I have that background as well. Yeah,
and that's true. So sometimes a business owner, they're caught up in the day-to-day, and they take a quick look at their bank statement balance, and then they make a decision. That happens, right? So, and you had a term for that.
Yeah, I call that bank balance budgeting.
Bank balance budgeting,
which, cash flow or lack of cash flow is actually one of the biggest killers of small businesses. And the only way to make sure that you're going to be in positive cash flow is bookkeeping. There's no guessing about it. A lot of my clients come to me and say, I've been busier than ever. I have no time to do anything, but my bank account doesn't reflect that. So there's leaks. There's got to be leaks in the business. Either you're overpaying for something or you've got personal things coming out. There could be any multitude of reasons why, but that's why you've got to have somebody with a trained eye.
Absolutely. So now someone who is starting a business or within the first 3 years, it's really like a startup phase. What advice do you have for someone before they get going in starting their business? Because the slate is clean.
Right.
Yeah.
So at the very least, keep business and personal separate. That's number one. If you're still in the side hustle phase, you haven't gotten your LLC, you haven't done the EIN and all of that stuff. If you don't do those things, you can't get a business account.
Right.
So even if you don't have a business account, you can still open a second personal account. Keep it separate. That's number one.
Okay.
Number two would be, one of the reasons why you want to do that is because it keeps all of the tracking in one place. Yeah. Everything going in is going to one account. Everything coming out is coming out of the same account. Even if you have to transfer money from your personal to put into the business, that's fine. But you're still tracking it. There's people who have, we hear about the shoebox full of receipts, right? Yeah. While that's not ideal, at least you're keeping it. And at least at some point, hopefully, you get around to actually tracking it. And, the reasoning for it is not just for your business, but it's also for tax purposes, so that you're not leaving money on the table during tax time. You should be tracking the expenses that help your business grow. That's how the IRS looks at it. And when you can apply those deductions, you're doing it for the whole year. So you have to track the entire year, not just when you feel like it. And as you said before, when you procrastinate, that mountain gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's more overwhelming and it's more stressful. And those are the ones that I enjoy the most, because it's like you make a pretty little picture out of a mess.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And then a client is coming to you sometimes with their hair on fire. and then you're helping them with that. So now, what about the types of businesses that you work with, a niche or niches?
So primarily I work with service-based or trade-based businesses. So like online service providers, coaches, that kind of thing, venue space, and trades being like HVAC,
like a plumber, you mean?
Plumber,
okay.
Yep. Okay. They don't hold inventory, but they have supplies. And then when they are purchasing big equipment, it's generally for a specific client, right?
Okay, yeah.
So that gets passed off to the client. And then also now I'm working with nonprofits in the area.
Nice. Yeah. A lot of times it's hard for them to have a dedicated staff member.
True.
So, outsourcing, and a lot of people, think that it's expensive anyway, whether you hire someone or outsource, but outsourcing is actually usually the inexpensive way to go. Correct. Because they're not paying you full time. They're not paying you the medical benefits and all of the other.
And the taxes that go along with it.
The taxes, yeah. Yeah, so that's very good. So before we cut to break, tell everyone how they can get in touch with you. How do they find you?
So I can be found on Facebook. My business name is Busy G Bookkeeping Solutions, or by my name, Grisell Cano. I do spend a lot of time there, but I spend more time on Instagram, and my handle is Busy G Books. And my website is www.busygbookkeeping.com. busygbooks.com.
Yep. And I have a cheat thing over here with that graphic that was up for those that are watching. But for those that are listening on the podcast and iHeartRadio, we got it covered. We're going to take a break. We have a lot more to discuss. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Sunshine Furniture brightens up your day.
At Sunshine Furniture, our 35,000 square foot showroom is filled with the largest selection of in-stock coastal furniture on the Treasure Coast. Dining and bedroom sets, occasional tables, sofas, sleeper sofas, love seats and chairs in all the latest styles and colors from Tommy Bahama, Lexington, Hooker, Riverside, Universal, Four Seasons, Braxton Color, and Capri. We're the outdoor furniture experts and have hundreds of styles of any patio furniture you need, including a gallery of Berlin Gardens and Pollywood. We're having a big January clearance sale, including all pictures, lamps, and accessories half price. Sunshine Furniture, $12.95 US 1 in Vero Beach next to Planet Fitness. Family owned and operated since 1991. Don't forget to visit our outlet and sales store directly across the street and visit our website at sunshinefurniturecasual.com.
Sunshine Furniture.
Blue Dolphin Pools strives to provide quality service with a well-trained staff in the field and in the office. They want you to know that your pool or spa investment means much more to them than just another account. They believe you have entrusted them with your investment, and they'll do their best to see that it stays in top condition. Blue Dolphin Pool has been in business over 35 years, setting them apart from the competition. Residential or commercial, Blue Dolphin will keep you in the swim. 567-5853.
If you operate a small business, you need services like payroll, tax compliance, HR tools, and other resources. You need Complete Employee Solutions. Vero Beach has a team of professionals, including Anthony Sammons, Matt McCain, and Jennifer Comer, who saw the need for competent payroll, HR, and employee leasing services. Call Complete Employee Solutions at 772-978-7277 or visit their website at CompleteEmployeeSolutions.com.
Welcome back to Treasure Coast Connector. I'm your host, Ellen Contreras, and I've been chatting with Grisell Cano, got it right the first half, of Busy G bookkeeping solutions, and we're going to just dive right back into it. And okay, so now, of course, the traditional bookkeeping services you offer that are outsourced, but there's a whole host of other things that you do for people, which is wonderful. So you just start talking about that.
So the traditional bookkeeping that you're mentioning, we're getting everything set up, the software. I tend to work in QuickBooks or Xero, but some kind of cloud-based accounting software is best because with technology today, you can connect your accounts and a lot of it can be automated.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you were to think of, I provide a product, I provide clean and accurate reports, because if you don't have the correct information coming in, you don't have good information coming out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's categorizing the transactions and then reconciling, which making sure that QuickBooks caught everything, and then providing the reports. The reports are a profit and loss, a balance sheet, and a general ledger of all of the transactions for the prior month. And so above and beyond that, I also offer advisory services. And so one of them is just a strategy call, which can be for anybody, but it's primarily my clients who take advantage of it. We can do a deep dive on reports, or if they've been considering hiring, can I really afford it? Or,
good
equipment,
questions.
that type of thing.
I want to purchase equipment, lease equipment,
Yes.
hire people,
Right.
buy a boat, just saying.
Right. And, I might not be able to answer everything, but I can at least guide and direct you on where to get the answer or who to get the answer from.
Okay.
Like you call yourself a connector. I help do that as well a little bit. I also offer an Ask Me Anything.
I love the Ask Me Anything. I
Yes.
saw that. So now don't ask her how to solve world peace. We're talking about business. So if it's a brand new startup, right? Somebody that can't afford maybe the bookkeeping that you're going to do, they can ask questions on how to get things set up.
And that's actually where that came from. Because I was getting a lot of people coming to me and just saying, like, I definitely know that I can't afford you, but I know that I don't know what I'm doing. So there's so much that you don't know that you don't know.
Right.
Right. And then they come to me and they just say, here's where I'm at. This is what I sell. This is what I do. And we kind of just go from there. I ask questions as well. And I can at least direct and guide them. Like we said, number one, keep your personal and business separate. I have like top 5 probably do's and don'ts type of thing.
Okay.
Where, I help them with that. I tell them what kind of deductions they need to be tracking and how to track, how best to track, and it's very customized because every business is different. Right. So that's the Ask Me Anything. And then I have an advisory service called Bookkeeping Checkup, and that's for businesses who are a little more established in terms of their actual bookkeeping. And what we do is it's a Zoom so that I can give you permission to share your screen and I can actually see what you're working with. Because a lot of times during the conversation, things are forgotten or whatever.
Yeah.
And so this is just a little more comprehensive way to get all the information. And I like to call it a 10-point inspection, like your car.
Oh, very nice. Very good.
So there's common red flags that I look for, common errors, mistakes. And, some people have come to me with current bookkeepers who they were like, I don't know if the work's getting done. So the bookkeeping checkup helps with that. Or they're doing it themselves and they don't know if they're doing it right, that kind of thing. And at the end of it, you get all of my findings. And I offer Voxer support, which is a free app. It's like a walkie-talkie app.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Or it's text as well, but it's nice because so much is lost in translation over an email or a text, especially with these, concepts that could be confusing or convoluted. And so I like the ability to be able to do a voice message, which I know other apps can do it, but Voxer lets you talk a blue streak, which I like.
Okay, very good.
And then I also offer a bookkeeping spreadsheet, which is a good DIY option it's nice because it's instead of just keeping track of like date, amount, and purpose, you can actually categorize from there, and then it'll total everything up.
Oh, that's nice.
So it's a nice DIY option for those who say they can't afford it yet.
Okay.
But
so, and they're baby stepping. So you're helping people at every level of their business. And then there's also QuickBooks training. So you'll actually do training.
Yes.
Which is, that's nice.
I call that more consulting now because I found that, again, every business is different. So when you go in, it's a lot of like information gathering. So what are you using right now? Is it working? What's not working? Do you have a staff? And if you do have a staff, then you need to have internal controls in place to make sure that the bookkeeping on the front end is being done correctly so that my job is easier and eventually, the business owner as well.
Very good. And then where is your service area? Do you have a particular zone, geographical area?
So I'm a virtual bookkeeper.
Nice.
So those who are local get the benefit of, we get to go to Panera or I get to come to your business.
Very good.
But generally I do everything online. Okay. So I can do all over the country, really. I have clients in New York type of thing. And, every state is different, but here it's nice and simple because we don't have the state income tax that kind of thing. Yeah. So most of my clients are in Florida.
Okay, very good. And very quickly, tax prep time, the businesses are getting ready. So how big of a shoebox do you advise? Just kidding. Like, what advice do you have so they're not bringing a shoebox of stuff to someone?
Be tracking.
Okay.
Yeah. So take those receipts and go to a spreadsheet, or if you're a paper and pen type of person, just have a chart. Date, expense, the purpose and the amount. Okay. And that's at least a starting point so that you're not fumbling through statements at the end of the year, which a lot of people do. You don't want to spend a whole weekend trying to do it, and then you don't even know if it's right.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it can be very overwhelming. So now for the second half, if somebody is just tuning in and they say, yeah, my hair is on fire, this is awesome, ask me anything, that's great. How do they get in touch with you?
So the best way to get in touch with me is through my website, www.busygbooks.com. And there's links on there. You can see the different services that I offer, and you click Get a Quote. Everything pretty much goes back to get a quote.
Yeah, and that's nice.
Because every business is different. And my rates for monthly do start at $350 a month. But again, it's customized from there.
Yeah, especially with the size of the business and the depth and the scope of the work, it goes from there. So it's always good to have that conversation. And so now, before someone starts working with you, what do you like them to do to prepare to have an initial meeting with you?
I advise everybody to have all of their login information ready, make sure it all works.
Okay, good.
So that when we do meet, we can access everything quickly and maximize our time together so that I can actually see what's going on. And if there's questions, I can ask questions from there. If they have current software, then we'll be looking at that. If they don't have anything, then, we talk about what they do have and I give them a plan. I generally give clients homework. Okay. In the beginning, there's a lot of hand holding, but as I get used to their business and see their trends or their habits, it's a lot easier for me to get the job done.
Well, very nice. So I'm so glad that we had this conversation now at the beginning of the year, because people are looking to take their business to the next level. They're looking to automate. They're looking to make their life easier so that they can make more money. If you would like to grow your business and make more money, then you have to get with Grisell Cano. busygbooks.com. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, this was like a wonderful conversation. My name is Ellen Contreras. I'm the host of Treasure Coast Connector. I hope everyone has a wonderful, safe, productive week. Until next week, I miss you already.